Yo. Check out what's Chook Talks. Check out what's Chook Talks. What was the last thing you posted?
Okay.
Let's see. So let's check him out. What are the videos that we haven't seen from his story? So this, I think he's from London, and he's really young. I am unsure of how old he is, but he looks very young. I believe that he's about, I don't know, I'm assuming like 20. And we're gonna see what he is up to.
Hate will always come from people doing worse than you. This is literally one of the biggest things keeping me going, is that when I think about these people, when I look at these people, when I observe them, when I think about what it must be to live their lives, and keep in mind, like, yeah, so some of them that I've come across are richer than me, a lot better looking than me, better bodies, better jobs, you know, better cars, whatever. Would I trade myself? Would I trade my life, myself, for any one of them? Anyone, literally any one of, not even, I don't even have to know them, just a complete stranger. Every single one of them, I would just not trade with at all. Like, I am completely, totally, well, I'm not saying totally, I'm saying we all have our insecurities, right? But I would not trade myself and my life for any one of these gang stalkers, for any one of these narcissists, for any one of these just haters. Even if in some way they're doing better than me.
One thing that I have noticed is that whenever any type of victim from gang stalking speaks out and there are gang stalkers listening, I have noticed on their facial expressions enjoyment. Gang stalkers themselves love hearing targets speak their stories because they feel a sense of power. They feel that they are in control of the life of that particular targeted individual. And these people, they know how powerful gang stalking is. It is inconceivably insidious and inconceivable within itself, because whenever anyone would speak about the things that these people do, the impossibility and the absurdity of some of the actions um, would in itself discredit the victim, because the actions of these people are so incomprehensible and sometimes irrational that no normal person that has never experienced such abuse would ever believe what they are being told. In my gang stalking experience, I have told my mother things that have happened to me, and I know for a fact that she does not believe me. I am sure. Hang on. No. So I'm gonna have to connect this right here for a little bit. I am sure that her explanation to the stories that I have told her, I feel that she is convinced that they are somehow involved with illicit substances. And honestly, I do not blame her, because when I got back, I was so used to live my life under a state of panic. And the fact that I was harassed and abused indirectly by many of these people, I was always in a state of paranoia. After a couple of weeks of coming back here and understanding that I was in a place where I wouldn't have to worry about these individuals actively harassing me, only then I was actually able to calm down. Additionally, one of the only ways that I felt I could escape or at least ameliorate my situation was by consuming illicit substances. I felt as if I had to stay awake as much as possible for fear of any of these people doing something to my vehicle whenever I was asleep or whenever I was not paying attention to it. And that that fear was merited. These individuals, when I wasn't close by, they did do a lot of things to my car. So, in the end, the insummable types of harassment, of sabotage, of gaslight, in the end, they keep you in a state of paranoia that is encompassing in every single dimension of your being. You are scared of getting your things stolen. You are scared of having your vehicle messed with. You are scared of getting your things sabotaged. And you lose your keys are taken from you if you leave them unattended for too long. Your cell phone gets stolen. All of those fears were merited because things happened to me where the fears that I told you, were actually created by these people because I did not initially start fearing all of these things. These fears were introduced to me by these people when they did all of these things to me. They stole my computer, they stole my phone, two phones, an iPad, what else? In addition to a lot of insignificant things that could only be stolen in order to cause me an inconvenience. So in the end, these people build in you fears that to those who have no idea what things you have gone through, you will seem irrationally paranoid. And to be honest, it is a brilliant way of destroying people because that way people are made to appear crazy, paranoid, fearful. And when the target gets to a point where they appear to be constantly and consistently paranoid, and they tell their story to someone, the behavior of the victim, the mannerisms, the character of the person has been transformed so much to such an unrecognizable degree that anyone that is listening to the victim will believe that their paranoia is due to some type of substance abuse. The harassment itself produces the target to behave in such a manner that takes away at the credibility of the victim. The entire idea of gang stalking is genius. And in my opinion, a lot of narcissists and psychopaths, they are always walking around with their chest up and this air of arrogance and superiority. I have a belief that they get this sense of superiority by gang stalking because they know full well that only by them speaking about it or setting a, I guess, putting the person on the list for lack of better wording, a person can be made to destroy themselves. And this gang stalking within itself, I feel that it protects the same group of people. It protects them from effing each other. The target, I believe that it has to be someone who is so out of the group, I guess, where it is easier for the people to agree to actively harass or destroy a single individual. That it is just a theory. That is not something that I know with certainty. However, that's the most logical explanation to this sense of superiority that these psychopaths and narcissists walk around with.
I just don't care. I just know that I'm much more happy in myself than they are in themselves. Like, I just know, like, what 100%. I saw the quote. The quote was something like,
Sorry.
haters will always hate up, not down. Like, you never see someone extremely wealthy, extremely good looking, just hating on someone. You just wouldn't see it. You wouldn't see. It'd be extremely, extremely rare for that to happen, right?
He's saying that he has never seen someone extremely good looking hitting on someone who is less fortunate as a bully. That is practically high school. I believe that this gentleman failed to consider the bullies in school because most of the bullies in school are typically overweight, are typically ugly, and typically carry themselves with some type of how do you say, they have this aura of sloppiness. And there is something that I don't understand where when I was in middle school, there were people who had everything, and I come from an extremely poor background. And I literally had nothing. I was literally just some random kid. And for some reason, these bullies decided to pick on me for whatever reason. And well, the gentleman here is saying that people typically do not hate anyone that is less fortunate. However, I personally have experienced quite the opposite.
But all this hate, in gang stalking, it's just based on hate, right? They're just hate motivated. Nothing to do with money, nothing to do with the government. It's just hate. They're just losers.
You got it right.
Right?
This gentleman is already significantly smarter than most of the people who speak about gang stalking online. He is new to gang stalking, and he has already figured out that gang stalking has nothing to do with the government, with anything that you have done. And he already figured out that gang stalking is an operation based and driven by hate. I applaud this young man. He's already showing his level of intelligence.
But it's not even that. They're not like. When I was young, I used to look at them when I didn't know what gang stalking was, and I used to think, why am I being bullied by these people? You know, this person is on triple my salary. This person has everything. Why am I being bullied by this person? Because they view themselves as pieces of shit. They are pieces of shit, by the way. Just, and they know it. And they know it. And they know you are not. Like,
The reason that these people feel so free to harass a single individual, even when they are doing significantly better than the victim or the targeted individual, is because gang stalking is practically a death sentence. And gang stalking is so infallible that these people, gang stalkers, feel almost entitled to the mind of whoever the target is. Gang stalking is beyond powerful. It can pretty much destroy anyone because gang stalking is invisible until they decide to present themselves to the target. Gang stalking is comprised of many individuals who do and say things to the target with the intention of steering the decisions of the target into hang on. They steer the decisions of the target to take action and make decisions that will work against him or herself. For example, let's assume that I am gang stalking the gentleman here on the screen, and I want him gone. So, and let's assume that he has a lot of money. The group of gang stalkers and I, especially the ones who have money, would befriend him and invite him to places where he has to spend a lot of money. And while we pretend to be his friend, we are actively trying to make him spend as much money as possible. We encourage into him habits of buying lottery tickets, going to the casino, and reckless spending on frivolous things that have no value. The intention is to leave him broke and financially devastated. And the fact that he doesn't know that we, even though to him are friends, our actual intention is to encourage him to take bad financial decisions. So the only way that he would ever know that he is broke because a group of people steered his decisions and encouraged frivolous spending on his persona, he would never find out. He would simply be and stay broke. Unless gang stalking itself starts manifesting to the victim by actual harassment, hand signals, and the headlights, and all of the other things that people typically talk about in gang stalking. Only if gang stalking decides to harass the target in that way the victim would be completely oblivious to what actually is happening to him. He would never find out what is it that is happening to him, that suddenly he has no money. Okay, so we're gonna keep watching the video.
I know I am not. They can villainize me. They can villainize you. They can spread their lies, their gossip, their rumors, their slander, their manipulation. But at the end of the day, I know who I am. You know who you are. They don't know who the hell they are. They don't have a clue. They, I'm surprised they even made it this far, to be honest. Because, as I say, they can't handle anything. Anything that they have was probably given to them. They just don't have a Scooby. So I would never trade my life or myself or my body or my mind for any one of these gang stalkers. Any single one of them. They are. Alright, I'm gonna stop trying to put them down. But you get the point. It's just so easy to forget. Because they try and make us forget like who we are. They try and paint this narrative, this fake portrait of.
That is very true about gang stalking. Throughout all of my 8 years, gang stalking is so intense. It's so aggressive. And the entire time, you simply are experiencing the repercussions of your own actions. And in the beginning, you are going to be completely oblivious of why is it to in the beginning you are going to be completely oblivious to why is it that suddenly you are making decisions that are working against you. Why is it that suddenly your ability to discern between something that is good and something that is bad is blurred, is weakened? And hang on, I totally forgot my point. Is weakened. Hang on, I totally forgot my point.
They try and paint this narrative, this fake.
Oh, so the gang stalking operation, it takes so long that you yourself, well, gang stalking influence is building a narrative for you because they are indirectly steering your decisions into making stupid ones. They are steering you into illicit substances. They are steering you into unprotected intimacy. And the barrage of bad choices is creating evidence of a new character of you. The fact that you are unaware and completely oblivious that there are people pulling strings around you that increase the chances of you taking a particular decision makes you believe that it is you who is making those decisions, which leads you to believe that you are this person that's making these choices that are destroying you. And it takes a lot of years of experiencing gang stalking before you are able to see the patterns. Because in the beginning of gang stalking, there is you haven't had enough experience, or you haven't encountered enough attempts of people trying to manipulate you into taking a particular choice. So it will take many years before you start seeing a pattern. But typically, the moment that you understand that your decisions have been the result of people around you. For example, if I am addicted to having intimate relationships, like intimacy with random people. So the gang stalkers, the group of harassers, could, this is actually something that I have experienced, could keep constantly talking to me or to the victim about intimate relationships, and sending them pictures, encouraging that behavior, encouraging illicit substances. And these people would try to turn the victim on as much as possible without actually giving the victim satisfaction, giving them blue balls. That way, the victim will stay chasing and chasing and chasing, and the gang stalkers will pretty much intersect the victim and do everything possible so that the victim doesn't obtain satisfaction, all the while encouraging the victim to use more illicit substances and to and try to turn the victim on more, so that they get more reckless and more daring. And there's going to be a point where their lust is going to be so intense that they are inevitably going to start making reckless decisions, which will lead them into a path of self-destruction.
Portrait of us as the villains, us as terrible people, when reality.
Oh, but while all of that happens, the victim still feels that it's his or her own fault. The target believes that all of those choices, all of those vices, all of those decisions that have hurt the victim, and even when the victim is hurt, the victim keeps making those decisions. The victim will be gaslighted or unaware that there is something going on around the victim that is creating the impulse to make these wrong decisions.
Is like they themselves are terrible people. They can't even live with themselves. They have to go destroy someone else. They can't even live with themselves.
Gang stalkers can live with themselves so well. They are narcissistic to the core, and they love and adore hearing targets speak about their experiences that gang stalking has created in their lives. They love to hear the impact that they have caused in the life of the victim. I have seen this with my own two eyes. There was a while where, this was about last week, I actually tried to have some intimate action, and which, by the way, I didn't get. What happened was that this individual was, him and I were hanging out, right? So then I began talking to him about the experience. And I kept seeing him smile. It was a smile of so much pride that you would have to see it to believe it. Gang stalkers love themselves and what they do. So, one as a victim would like to believe that they hate themselves, that there must be something about themselves that they hate. I believe that that is maybe something that we like, that we tell ourselves to make us feel better about being victims of these psychopaths. But let me tell you, they love themselves. And they are like you and I, where they are not, there are parts of them that they are not happy with. And some of them do something about it, and others do not. So, gang stalkers love themselves. And the story about them hating themselves is something that we ourselves like to tell ourselves to make us feel better about what these people are doing to us. Forsaken, thank you so much. I appreciate you. You're amazing. Thank you for the support.
How much of a piece of work do you actually have
I
to
hope you're
be
doing well.
to do that? Like, just think about that for a second. How much of a piece of shit do you have to be to actually just be like, you know what? I can't work on myself. I'm just going to go destroy someone else that I don't even know. And then by extension, try and get other people involved as well. It makes no logical sense. So yes, you are better than these people.
These people really are obsessed with the target. I am telling you this because they are always on a constant lookout for the target. There were times where I simply went online and I was met with a barrage of messages. And the same story, do you want to F, and all of this. These are sexually charged questions and insinuations with no intention of actually playing. The intention was simply to give me blue balls, to sway me into making a decision that will make me vulnerable for gang stalking harassment. And these people are actively on the lookout for the target. And I am telling you this because I literally saw on an app that had a map, and it tells you the location, and then the location of each person. And you see the map in real time. So this person that I had never met sent me a message that said, there is no way that you have a home. Because I have been homeless for the past 7 years. And this person sent me this message. And then I saw his icon of his location literally move to where my icon was. He drove to find out whether or not I had a place to live. He did a couple of rounds and then he left. So these people do have an obsession with harassing the target. It is one of their priorities. They do work, they do their responsibilities if they are responsible, but on top of that, they are always on the lookout for the target. They're always on the lookout. So just understand that if you happen to be a targeted individual, understand that there is an actual obsession with you. And be skeptical of people that simply message you without an actual, how do you say it? Without an actual intent at getting to know you. Because when gang stalkers communicate with you, their communication with you is not to get to know you, but they are communicating with you because they are trying to get you to do, feel, or think something. So whenever you interact with anyone, you have to be incredibly aware of any type of psychological result, any type of personal belief, or any type of impulse that what people are imposing on you. For example, when I got here, I had a lot of people telling me about the bookstores, the adult bookstores, and then about the one in Mexicali. So there was an actual intent of people to inform me about these, to go to these places. And when someone is telling you something, such information, without any intent of nudging you to go in that to go to that place where they are genuinely interested in you actually becoming aware of it. The delivery of that message is different than when someone genuinely wants to inform you about it. There is the expression has a flash of anger. It is not a genuine, how do you say, the person is giving you this information with an expression of almost anger. There is a slight expression of anger. I believe that is particularly because they are trying to force you to go there, and you simply haven't. You are not reacting to their methods to nudge you. But when someone is talking to you and tells you about such places with the intention of motivating you to go there because he genuinely believes that you will have a good time there, the information is delivered with a smile. It is delivered with pleasure because you feel like you are helping a person have a good time. You can see the goodness or the evil intent of the intention, of the message that is being delivered on the face of the deliverer. So if someone is hanging out, right, and tells you about a place or about a type of activity that could possibly lead you into any type of self-destructive behavior, pay attention to the face. Because if they deliver it with pleasure, with a genuine expression of pleasure, you know that the message and the intention is good. However, when it comes from a place of an intent to manipulate you, you will see in their face anger. You will see in their face an actual intent at trying to force you to take a particular action. It is fascinating. Forsaken is saying, I really hope this becomes a past live stream I can watch. Yeah, of course.
And no, I would never trade my life or myself or my mind or my body for that. But yeah, anyway. Take care of yourselves. Peace.
Okay, so we are going to check out the videos of this gentleman that we have not seen yet. If you guys have any questions about gang stalking or have any suggestions about what to watch next, please don't hesitate to recommend it on the chat. So now we're going to see Evil Adult Children. You know, honestly, I also feel as if gang
When
stalkers
you
are adult children. They're
I've
infantile.
actually looked at gang stalkers and listened and been.
So is it me or does he look exhausted? Like, look at his face.
A victim of their games for some time.
What do you guys think?
You start to notice they all share one thing in common, is that they all seem to be not just narcissists, but like kind of evil little children in adult bodies. Some of them in creepy or whatever adult bodies. But when you actually look at like the cars that they use, for example, it's such a childish, obvious thing of looking at. Way I don't know if I'm explaining this right. It's such a childish way of looking at things, like, you know, the white SUVs and the trucks, and, you know, the Porsches and the Lamborghinis and the blacked out windows. And
Do
the
you see it?
headlights, you know, and the black rims. It's like
Does
they're
he
just
look like he's on
teenagers,
something to you
evil
guys?
little teenagers trying to intimidate you. And then like you see like a grown ass man just like so a huge grown ass man just step out like creepy as hell, like beard and stuff. But like they are and this goes from the women too as well. Like they're just so strange and like erratic, and the clothes they wear is just so off. Like they're pretending to be a person. I don't know how to describe it, but I've never ever once in my life looked at or like known someone was a gang stalker, looked at them and been like, oh, you know what? I want to be friends with that person. Not one. They've all just. I've always looked at them and just thought, that person seems a little bit creepy. That person seems a little bit off. That person seems incredibly erratic. I've never once looked or been with a gang stalker, whether that's, you know, probably, you know, not out of my choice because they can follow me everywhere, but I've never felt comfortable with any of them. Not one. There's been hundreds, maybe even upwards of 1,000 now. They're just so. I don't know. The lights are on, but no one's home. Like they aren't real human beings. They certainly don't have empathy. They're just, yeah, like they just creep me out. Like some of them, like it takes a lot for me to get on nerve. Like it takes a lot. I've been through a lot, and it takes a lot. That's not to. That's just to say like how it is. And I don't, you know, don't read too much into that. Let's just say how it is. But there have been one or two that literally made my skin crawl. Like legitimately made my skin crawl. It was like looking. I don't know. It was like the person was there, but they weren't there. Yeah, but just it was so weird and creepy and freaky. Like they're just pretending to be human or something. I'm just kidding, but no, they're just psychos. Yeah, that's kind of run over, to be honest.
It is hard to discern whether or not gang stalkers are actual psychopaths. And the reason that I say that is because a lot of these people, before I was a target, I knew some of the people that harassed me. One day, all of a sudden, their entire behavior and their attitude towards me made a 180-degree turn. Before the change, though, their behavior was normal, although in some cases I did notice a sting of envy towards me. When I was at the peak of my personal training career, which was pretty much all of it, actually, fellow personal trainers, I noticed that they were always glaring because as a fitness professional, I was really wow, really good, and I was always very busy. I worked at least 6 hours a day as an independent personal trainer. That is very very good money. So even though I noticed the the glances of envy, I did. There was something where there were simply people who did not express any type of psychopathy only until I became a targeted individual, which leads me to the question of whether or not these people are psychopaths or are they only being part or partaking in gang stalking because everyone else is doing it or because they are under some type of light blackmail where if they do not help to accomplish the mission or destroy the target, they are next. My assumption is that there is going to be a point where there are so many people that if you do not participate, you are automatically antagonized by the group. And you run the risk of being a target. Gang stalkers there are so many that they actually have a lot of power. For example, if you own a business, gang stalkers are so many that I am sure that they can immediately make your bankrupt your business by simply not making any purchases there and encouraging others to stop buying there. This can be done by word of mouth, and this could be the result of the owner deciding to not participate in the gang stalking operation of the town. And now we are going to see this one. I don't think I have seen it. It has a lot of views.
So one of the first tricks that gang stalkers impose on you is this idea that you did something wrong, that you did something to deserve this. And I see a lot of comments on people's channels talking about how they might have did something, or they pissed someone off or something to that effect. And in those kind of rare circumstances, maybe someone did do something locally, but in 99.9% of chances,
Where will you watch this video?
it's not something you did. You didn't do anything
I
wrong.
apologize.
It's literally part of the program that they want you.
So that is very true. Gang stalking happens to people for no reason. And these people notice that if you are a targeted individual, you know that these people do things with the intent of keeping you wondering. They want to keep you stuck in your head trying to solve a mystery. Typically, these mysteries are take the form of whether or not a person was recording you with their cell phone or not, whether or not the person with the headlights that for a split second put their headlights on your rearview mirror and it bothered you, you are going to be wondering whether or not that person did that purposefully. If someone cut you off on the freeway, you are going to be questioning whether or not that person cutting you off was a part of your gang stalking operation or not. All of these little events, these little unpleasantries that happen every day to everyone are used or weaponized by the gang stalking group in such a way that even though they are most of the time an accident, a misfortune, the act of bombarding a single individual with these acts will begin to get at the psyche of the individual, of the target individual, and after the trauma that the gang stalking team creates, every single experience that resembles the harassment, such as the headlights on the rearview mirror or being cut off on the freeway, will make the person wonder, was it on purpose or not? And these types of questions are what keep the target zombified. To which making insinuations. For example, in my own personal gang stalking experience, gang stalkers told me things like, this is happening to you because of who you mess with. Or they are telling me things like, this is happening to you because of what you did. Or also, this is happening to you because you did something bad to people that is not illegal. So no one can put you in jail because of it. Therefore, we are doing this to you. This happened to you because you did something that no one can put you in jail for. So these questions, the fact that gang stalkers told me, and I was also told that it was happening to me for being an HOR. So the fact that I was thrown all of these different reasons without any of them being consistent, that tells you that none of them were true. That tells you that the entire intent of the question, because of the way that they are kept so vague, are not actually intended to help me resolve an issue. The intention of these questions and the fact that there are so many different types of possibilities, all it's doing is making me get stuck in my own thoughts. For example, the first time that I was told this is because of something you did, it's like I began pondering, what was it that I have done that could have merited this gang stalking? That was the first question, or the first accusation that was given to me. Immediately after, a couple of months after, maybe a couple of years, I cannot recall clearly, I was told that it was because I messed with the wrong person. And then you start thinking of who did I mess with that could have brought this upon me. So these questions are not meant to actually be helpful. Consider the fact that these questions are coming from people that are actively harassing you and causing you distress. So these people have no reason to actually try to help you in any way, shape, or form. Their own things that come out of their mouth are only intended to confuse you further or to cause you more distress. And they never give you a reason why. That is part of the gang stalking. You are given so many possibilities that it is clear that the intention of giving you those reasons to think about, when you see the big picture where gang stalking you bombards you with things that are meant to keep you wondering with plausible deniability, or to do things that will keep you stuck in your head, things that make no sense, that make no logical sense, then you can see the purpose of those accusations. That it is not to give you information about what this is happening to you. In fact, it is meant to make you break your own mind down, trying to figure out why. That way you spend most of your time building theories and exploring possibilities that will never lead you to a concrete answer. And that is exactly the entirety of the gang stalking operation. It is simply to make you break your own mind down to such an extent where you become susceptible to manipulation, to indoctrination, and it is just a matter of time before the gang stalking harassment breaks down your mind enough for you to be ready, or to be ready for the next step of your gang stalking operation. So hang on, I need to use a restroom. I will be right back. Thank you guys for being here. Hang on. Thank you so much for waiting. I hope you guys are doing well. Let's see. So we are going to go to his main page and check out what videos we have not watched. Oh, so this one is a recent video from him. Let's see.
Alright, so it's basically confirmed that my neighbours on this side are participating in the harassment. Every night I'm waking up to loud, just bangs, loud thuds, like something is being banged on the wall, like something has fallen from 7, 8 foot. And I actually wear earplugs, like really, really good ones from Amazon, like the best ones you can find on Amazon. I wear every night. Keep in mind that this is
During my gang stalking experience, particularly during the time where COVID was everywhere, I was wearing either earplugs or a pair of earphones that are in ear, and the tip of the earbud looks like an earplug. When this was happening, I used to stay under a bridge inside of my car. And during, well, for a very long time, I believe it might have been months, there were days where a car would literally just zoom through the bridge for hours and hours and hours, revving the engine as loud as possible and actively creating as much noise as possible for hours on end. I am not exaggerating. Hours and hours and hours on end for at least 3 weeks, every day. And it is it was interesting because it when a target isn't engaging in the gang stalking operation, gang stalkers actively look for the target with an intention of making the target move, of somehow causing some type of negative effect into the life of the target. There are so many ways that these people harass someone. There was even a time where I was actually staying in the parking lot of a casino. And I kid you not, a woman at 3 in the morning parked right beside my car and began slamming her car door again and again and again. She got out of her car. She stood up, and then she began trying to look through my tinted windows, and she just was upset, and she was like, ugh, and then she just kept slamming the car door of her car. It woke me up, and I saw her do this with my own two eyes. It is something so unbelievable that no one would ever believe you. It was 3 in the morning, and it was at Golden Acorn Casino. I used to park there because that was a place where gang stalkers wouldn't harass me at all. And I stayed there for a long time, and every day I had to drive 1 hour to train a personal training client. And I made the decision to reside as far away from the city because I would be harassed less, and it worked. I was harassed significantly less. However, there I was still harassed nonetheless.
empty, and then there's space in between here. There's a whole room here, and then there's the neighbours. And every night they, 1:54 a.m. they'll do something and wake me up right over here. That's a space of about, I don't know. I don't know how far it is, but it's quite far. And they'll do it at least once, minimum once, sometimes 2, sometimes 3 times during the night. It's not a consistent bang on the walls. It's just a large thud, like they're banging something on the wall or they've dropped something from a large distance. And I wear earplugs every single night because I have enough noise pollution down here from the psychos that turn up at night blaring their music at 1 a.m, 2 a.m. That seems to have died down for a little bit now. That hasn't happened for a while. But the community haters, the community losers, well, I guess they're gang stalkers now, aren't they? Yeah, every single night they wake me up.
Sorry, hang on. Let me see.
What was it last night? 6 minutes past 1.
Something happened with something happened with my camera. It suddenly decided to not work. What happened? It was working fine. Why are you doing this to me? Everything was okay. Hang on. Oh, hang on. So I'm gonna have to change the camera. Hang on. There we go. Oh, it's so sad. We were doing so good with the other one. I think I need to wipe it. Hang on. No. That sucks. All of a sudden, like, it was working so fine. And the software wasn't doing this before. It was just like super sudden. No, nada. Oh, okay, I guess. So I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna turn on the light. Hang on. Move. Oh, so there we go, and what is this? Here we go. Yay! Okay, so I'm gonna turn on the light. Let me see. So here we go, guys. Let's see.
AM. I had my earplugs in, and then I just hear from round about down here, I just hear like a huge, loud, like thud. And I wake up, and normally they do it around about 2 a.m., around about 1, at the end towards 1 a.m., but they seem to do it around the clock, so like 1:55, 1:58. I always check my phone after. and then they do it exactly 1 hour before I wake up for work. So let's say I set my alarm for 6 a.m. Every morning I'll be woken up at just before 5 a.m. 1 hour before I'm supposed to wake up, I'm woken up to a loud bang and a thud from them as well again. So yeah, they're just total freaks, total psychos. But yeah, this is what basically you have to live with. Just unjustified hate, basically.
For real.
Unjustified psychos trying to mess up your sleep. As I say, like right here, there's like a window. There you kind of see like there's a little light there, but so cars outside pulling up has kind of quietened down a bit. When I first started, noticing it, they were quite full on, but they seem to have calmed down. But now the neighbours have joined in on gang stalking. They do it every single night. Yeah, it's just. I think that woman was always a narcissist, from what I've heard, from what it seems. Or they've just believed whatever lie that was spread about me in the community, or whatever nonsense. I don't really care. Anyway, yeah, that's just like what's going on. The neighbours on this side, for the most part, they haven't really done anything. He did do something. He did do a gang stalking tactic, but it turns out that he was a guy that sabotaged us, a plumber actually, that screwed me over a few times. That turned out to be a gang stalker. He clearly fed him some lies too, because he started doing something too. But it's just crazy, the amount of people that just jump in on the hate, on the community harassment. Because of what?
Really unbelievable.
Because of what? This is what I'm just so confused about. Like, were you always a piece of work, or are you just going off of lies? And it's just like, the way I see it is just people are either A, extremely easy to manipulate, which the gang stalkers have done, or B, they were just always pieces of work, or they're just more nasty.
So honestly, I wonder if it is that people are easy to manipulate, or if these people are on the same team and they agree to attack a particular individual. Do you know what I mean? For example, or for instance, if anyone would come to me and tell me, hey, most of us are going to be harassing this particular individual. We are doing this and this to him. Do you want to join, or do you want to help? In order for anyone to ask you that, they would need to know that they would have to feel safe enough to make you such a question. If anyone, any random person, for example, let's say you would ask, you would tell your friend that, chances are that your friend would immediately consider you a psychopath and stop speaking to you, or start to engage with you in any way, shape, or form. But the fact that so many people participate and all of them seem to enjoy it, I have this nudge that tells me that this is something that people know that they could possibly be asked at some point. Almost like they are turning on a switch. I have seen people enjoy I have seen people enjoy do things with the intention of confusing me. I have seen them get excited about it. This is not something that I have only seen once, but I have seen many times. Many people of all walks of life where they appear to enjoy gang stalking. And this observation seems to me, well, this observation leads me to believe that the fact that everyone simply does it. And when you are surrounded by gang stalkers, you're going to notice that these people feel like if the entire world is in on it. Because absolutely everyone around, well, absolutely every participant is doing things to the target in front of everyone else. I have seen, let me just tell you the story. I was at the gym, the Ultimate Fitness, not Ultimate Fitness, the gym in Chula Vista on 3rd Avenue. And I left my backpack open. I was doing the rows, the T rows, and I simply went to grab a 45-pound plate. I was just there and the gym was packed. So on my way to get the plate, something tells me, turn around, look at your stuff, make sure that no one is doing anything to mess with you. I turn around and there was this tall 6'4" dude literally digging into my backpack. So this guy had the audacity and felt comfortable enough to do this in front of a bunch of people. The gym was packed and a guy 6 something literally felt comfortable enough to run to my backpack and look in it when I am having my back towards my stuff. The fact that he felt so free and the fact that he did that tells you that he knows that there are not going to be any repercussions because people around that are looking at him see this when I am obviously disattending my bag. Tells you of how big gang stalking is. I literally disattended my bag for like 30 seconds. And in those 30 seconds, this individual felt free enough that he actually had the balls to do this in a place packed with people. So it's simply like, that is exactly why what is so shocking. It's that so many people are actually involved in gang stalking that people feel free to do things to you in front of everyone. And no one is gonna say anything about it. No one. That is insanity.
Than you think in our society, or a combination of all three. Anyway, yeah, that's just a little update on what they're up to every single night. So, yeah. Anyway, peace.
Gang stalkers are freaks. We already saw these. Detached from everyone and everything. Excuse me. You can't physically beat gang stalking. Target individuals, despite I already saw this one. I don't think I have seen this one. But notice, is it me?
So I was just talking
Or
about
does he
small
look like
towns
he's on something?
in the US where gang stalking is happening, where it seems to be like the entire town. I just had the idea of, I mentioned this previously as like a remote location, kind of like safe haven, gated community, or, you know, on acres of land. But what if targeted individuals all just, we brought up like one town? Like we literally just go into like, we just all pick one area in the world, and then we all just literally buy up that entire town. So you go into that little town, right? And it's literally just targeted individuals go down the street. But so we set up like a town of targeted individuals where as soon as a gang stalker walks in, that gang stalker is being gang stalked. For the original purpose of gang stalking surely was not for good use. Surely it was not for community policing, for what it was originally intended. But those twisted mofos twisted it and made it into this demonic scheme, this evil program. So, what if we just buy up like one small town somewhere in the world, I don't care, anywhere, and we just, I mean, I don't know if you can hear them all slamming their car doors and whatever now, but what if we just buy up, yeah, one small town, like a gated community, we just completely buy it up, and we just fill it with people like ourselves. And then we'll just have, you know, an actual real life safe community team for what it was actually intended for, not what they actually do to people. Yeah, let me know.
Wow. Okay, so let's see. It is so saddening to see someone so young already going through something so unbelievably evil as gang stalking. It is honestly, it is insane. It's so insane. Okay, so let's see what else is here about gang stalking to see if there are any new like videos. Oh. Gang stalking experts? Really? Let's see. What is this one? It has so many views.
Under occupational health and safety laws, individuals are being flagged and placed on community notification lists. This is happening without the target's knowledge, and in many countries, these community notifications are being used by corporations
Why
and
are
others
those
to
titles
target innocent
unavailable?
individuals such as dissidents, whistleblowers, the outspoken, etc. In conjunction with these notifications, corporations and others are in some cases using a practice that was used in the former Soviet Union called the psychiatric reprisal. This is used as a means of retaliation, revenge, blacklisting, silencing, or controlling members of society. Once on the notification system, warnings about the targets are sent out to every individual the target comes into contact with, thus poisoning their associations and socially annexing the targeted individual. A full definition is gang stalking is a systematic form of control which seeks to destroy every aspect of a targeted individual's life. Once a target is flagged, a notification is sent out to the community at large, and the target is followed around 24/7 by various communities that they're.
The target isn't followed 20. Well, it's not like if I go anywhere. I don't have anywhere. Let's see. Hi, everyone. Hey, Cheryl. I hope you're doing good.
in. The community notifications will go out to various places: apartment rentals, future employers, stores, and communities where the target visits will all be notified. Masonic lodges, temples, churches, doctors' offices, fire departments, police stations, etc. A covert investigation might also be opened, an electronic means used by the civilian
Thank you, Shelley.
spies and snitches as part of the overt and covert monitoring and surveillance process. Individuals can be flagged, designating them as having a history of aggressive or inappropriate behavior. This notification system will follow the target if they move,
Okay,
change
so
jobs,
look.
or visit other areas.
So I know this video has a lot of views, but he's just reading and he's not even doing, and he's not even talking to us. You know, I feel a little like unseen. You know what I mean? Like I cannot watch this for too long. Like, why am I gonna watch someone reading? Oh, this is interesting. Gang stalking explained. What is this?
Imagine bringing your side project to life just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform. Describe what you want and
Gang
watch it
stalkers
take shape.
snitched on the secret society. What the hell can I not like?
You
Finish
can
the
plan,
freaking ad?
customize, and expand
How
in
long
any
is the
direction.
ad? 1,000 years?
From tools built for one
What the hell?
platforms ready for many. From passion projects to enterprise
Did,
grade
did I
systems.
click on the ad? Oh my god, I clicked on the ad. I'm so sorry, guys.
Alright, here we go, y'all. I found this video on Quora. You're gonna hear the horse's mouth. Some of y'all might be like, well, D, how you know this dude is telling the truth? How you know he's telling the truth? Man, look, this dude is telling the truth. Freemason exposed gang stalking, the mark of the beast, New World Religion, and everything that he said. I done said this back in 2016, 2017. Let's go ahead and check him out.
Masons, what's good with you?
Maybe I should do
I've
one of
been
those
wanting to make
videos.
this video for a long time now. And I'm here to shed some light on what you may be potentially going through wherever you are. And with that being said, let me begin by saying that I have invited the darkness into my life and unknowingly sold my soul to the devil.
My
What?
gang stalking started
What I want
with
to tell
traditional
you
Catholic
is some real
face-to-face.
info.
What do you mean? Like, was it a gang stalking that began in church, or can you elaborate?
And this info right here goes way beyond federal level shit.
Damn right it
What I want
do.
to leak is from a Masonic group, which I cannot disclose.
To be honest, the whole how do you say, the entire theory about the Freemasons having some type of responsibility or any type of heavy hand in gang stalking, honestly, it makes no sense to me. The people that I have met that are gang stalkers, none of them I have seen a Freemason logo anywhere on any part of their house or their cars or nothing. And you know how Freemasons typically are incredibly proud of being Freemasons. However, the fact that no one I have encountered that I know for sure is a gang stalker I have never seen any of them with any type of logo, emblem, or anything that indicates that they are a Freemason. Okay, so Sherry Ashcraft is saying, they showed me at church for months and months till I fled, but I spilled out to the whole community. I agree, I haven't seen any Freemasons involved in mine. They showed me at church for months and months. What do you mean they showed you at church? Can you please elaborate? They started with traditional Catholics face to face. Oh wow, honestly, I have not been counting how many gang stalkers are involved. The truth is in my case, there was a time where the priests drugged me at home. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry that happened to you. I am so sorry. That's awful. That's freaking awful. Are you sure they weren't not only degenerates? Because that sounds something that only a degenerate would do. That does not sound like something a priest would do. I mean, gang stalkers are degenerates. I'm sorry that happened to you. That's really crazy. That's really crazy. They insinuated trafficking and even drugged me while I volunteered in the... That's crazy. Do you think they were serious, or do you think that they only were doing that to make you freak out? Because gang stalkers do that. They say and insinuate things that are possible but implausible.
I'm pretty much talking about the true agenda of the New World Religion and the Mark of the Beast.
That's right. Can't buy or sell.
Which is related to the FBI's COINTELPRO. I would like to begin by indicating that
I'm filing a
myself,
lawsuit, so I can't say who,
played
but
a
the main
role
priest has been
blacklisting
accused of assault.
all kinds of minorities,
Oh my God.
activists,
That's
and even some
insane.
righteous
That's really
ones, also
crazy.
known as targeted individuals.
So it sounds like it is. And what do you say it's gang stalking? Is it because there's the people from the church or people involved in the trafficking circle, hovering and trying to intimidate you into silencing? The gang stalking that you are describing is not something that I get in the chat often. Typically, people that speak out here are on a, it's not something that they can legally prove or something that they can do anything about legally. So it really makes me happy to hear that you are filing a lawsuit. I really hope that everything goes well for you.
What?
you know, the topic of gang stalking, even though it's something that I enjoy talking about, there is, I feel like it is getting kind of stale. I mean, not your story, by no means, by no means. So let's see. So Sherry is saying it started with the church, priests and parishioners. I said no consistently, but then people at gas stations began doing it. Then restaurants. Then I fled. Then fam told friends I did it. Oh wow, that's crazy. That must be such a traumatizing experience, particularly coming from someone who whose position typically merits trust and faith. That is possibly the biggest what is that word? The biggest betrayal anyone can do to any parishioner. You know what I mean? That is like the biggest betrayal. When basically anyone that is nice to me gets attacked. That's really crazy. I'm so sorry. That sounds really, really intense. That's really intense. And how are you dealing with it? Like, how are you defending yourself about how are you defending yourself from it? Because that sounds like something really severe. I would be concerned of interacting with people that I care about. You know, that's frightening. That's really frightening. I have struggled, but I have also filed police reports, called feds, have state and homeland security help. Wow. It must have been a huge circle of traffickers. That in itself sounds like an incredibly traumatizing experience. I cannot imagine going through that. And that this is particularly traumatizing because it is coming from a church, from a church, which should be a place where you should feel comfort and safety. They completely isolated me, and I have no idea what my family is now. Wow. Damn. That's really crazy. Do you still talk to your family? Like, or do you have any of their numbers, or, I mean, or any other way of communicating, or are you simply isolating yourself with the intention of preventing your family from getting harassed? Let's see. Thank you. It started 8,000 miles away, and yes, the betrayal had me back and forth on survival thoughts. Suicide. Oh my god. Let's see. What are the clear signs of gang stalking?
I used to tell my
This
clients,
guy is very
yes,
popular.
my team and I will handle.
You know, so Sherry says, I can't find them. They got their house foreclosed now on. None of them are around now, not even my friends. Wow. That's really disheartening. I'm glad that you feel comfortable enough to to share with us your current situation. That sounds like an awful thing to go through. And nothing is worth you unaliving yourself for. Absolutely nothing. I know that it can sometimes be rough and tough, but look, in life, typically, it's like when you're driving at night, where you only see only to such a distance, and the rest of the road is pitch black. You only see as far down as the lights illuminate. And in order for you to be able to see more, you have to drive more. So just know that a lot of things can happen, and I'm sure will happen, that will ameliorate your situation. Those types of things, you either become tough and clever enough to sway your life around it, or you get it resolved lawfully. So one or the other, you sound like you are a smart person. You know, sadly, for me, I was forced to do it the other way, where I have to keep adapting and learning more about gang stalking. You sound smart, Sherry. So one or the other, whatever path that you solve or adapt your life to avoiding the situation, things are going to be fine. I can find them everywhere I go. Someone or several people show up immediately, but I'm being protected by unknown people too. Yes, it hurt so badly. I was trafficked over a year of saying no. I've learned from scratch too. And the thing is that when you go through those types of experiences, even though it feels unfair because you have to get tougher and you have to invest time into developing skills to take care of a particular situation. And it is quite upsetting that this situation is forced upon your life, that you have to invest time into learning how to deal with, instead of enjoying your life or investing that same time doing something that you love. It's not fair. And as awful as it sounds, simply, you just have to live with what's happening to you. You have to accept it, and you have to make the best of it. There are people that, well, there are so many of us that are going through many situations that are alike. And just know that we're here for you. I just hope that you do your best or I hope that things end up really well for you, one way or another. Trying to recover is possibly one of the best things that you can do. If there is something that has helped me is to never allow the narrative that is being pushed into you. Never believe the narrative that these people are trying to push into you. Because personally, for me, even my mannerisms, the way that I carried myself, the things that I loved, what I listened to, the people I surrounded myself with, all of those things changed because of gang stalking. I unknowingly was accepting the narrative that the world around me or the people around me was imposing on my life. And I didn't stick to my principles. I didn't stick to my to me. I didn't stick to it. And that in itself was the biggest mistake I made. Because after 8 years, I forgot parts that were so fundamental to who I was that I simply stopped being me. I didn't recognize myself in the mirror. And that moment where you look at a picture of yourself and the person in the picture is a stranger to you, that is one of the most devastating things that you could ever feel, because the person in the picture was you were proud of. And when you realize that all of that, everything that you were proud of, is lost due to this thing that happened to you, if you give yourself up for too long, you are going to feel like you're constantly chasing that. You're going to be constantly chasing the past. And you're going to be missing who you were. So you want to make sure that you stay true to yourself and do not allow this situation to change what makes you you. If you love ice skating, and if you love reading, and if you love something, don't stop doing the things you love out of because you are too busy, preoccupied to what's happening to you, or simply do not allow anything else to come between you and what makes you you. Anyone that does anything to push you away from becoming the best version of yourself, do not think twice to get rid of them. In gang stalking, as you have experienced, you are going to be surrounded and intersected by people who come with a facade of friendship only to mislead you into becoming vulnerable. Whatever it is that you do, never do anything that could compromise your job or your money or anything that could put you in a vulnerable situation. I didn't know that, and I allowed a lot of people to mislead me into taking actions that F me in the A harder than you can possibly imagine. And even so, still, I am still fighting these trying to erase or replace these bad habits that this gang stalking experience has imposed on my persona. Same, I wasn't myself either. I was studying and preparing to become a nun, but I didn't fit into that cult-like environment. I can't imagine. You went from one cult into another, or you run away. You decide that you do not want to engage in a cult only to be chased by another. That's insane.
insanity. There had to be a better way to grow my business, right? That's when I hired
Is
my
this
first
another
AI employee, and suddenly
ad?
my team became real. First,
What
I had
the-
Alfred to manage my calendar and emails, then Chip to handle my CRM and follow with
I
leads,
don't-
and
why
Suki to
does
create
this
all my.
ad keep coming up? Exactly. They kept forcing me into saying I should do it when vulnerable. They kept forcing men onto me. I should do it when vulnerable. It wasn't about marriage because most of them were married, but I decided that being stressed out means being vulnerable in a bad way. Yeah, you are absolutely right. When you are stressed, look, stress does something to your mind where there is a point of, how can I put this into words? Any type of emotion that is very strong can put your brain in a state where it is vulnerable to indoctrination. It is vulnerable to manipulation. This state of mind is the state of mind that priests used to put the parishioners. They would scare people to death by telling them about hell, and about how if they didn't repent for their sins, they were going to die in a void of freaking flames and Satan and all of these things. And these sermons were intended to make them feel a lot of fear, emotions, and when there was a point where a lot of these people began to shake, and the intention of the sermon was to create fear in these individuals. And when they were in this state of fear, they were fed salvation, which is becoming a member of the church and accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. This has been the formula for many churches, and it has been wildly successful for centuries. So being under a lot of stress is one of the tactics that these rogue groups of people use in order to sway people in any particular direction they want. So please take care of yourself, and you want to make sure that when there is a lot of stress in your environment, pay attention, because a lot of it can be purposeful. And typically when you are in a situation such as a job where you are continuously made to feel stress, there are things that you can do to lessen its impact. Typically, this is done by simply enforcing your rights, by enforcing a fair environment. So, yes, stress is the worst thing you can possibly experience. So I'm trying to watch this video, and
Now when I say my team will handle this, I'm not lying anymore. My AI
Do I have to watch the whole thing? Oh, there we go. I guess so.
Start noticing
Oh, it's my pleasure, Sherry.
people standing where they shouldn't be.
Let's
The
see.
same cars driving past you over and over again. Strangers looking at you with expressions that don't make sense. It doesn't feel random anymore. It feels orchestrated. Different people, different locations, but the same looks, the same energy, the same patterns. And somehow, it all seems directed at you. But here's the part that really messes with your mind. You can't prove it. You can't confront it. You can't even explain to someone without sounding paranoid. Because that's exactly how it's designed to make you feel. Confused, isolated, and unsure of your own mind. You may have tried to rationalize it. Tried to tell yourself you're just imagining things. But deep down, you know something is wrong. Because it keeps happening. And no one else seems to notice or admit it. But you're not crazy. You're not alone. And you're definitely not imagining it.
Oh. Don't play me like another hour-long ad. Are ads getting worse on YouTube, or is it just, or am I imagining things? That was only 1 minute.
In this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 clear signs that you're being targeted by gang stalking. Signs that countless other victims have reported. Patterns that don't lie. And proof that this is not just in your heads. Let's break the confusion and expose what's really going on. 1. Subtle hand gestures and signals. It starts small.
I'm gonna go get some water, and I am going to bring myself a plate of food. I will be right back.
You'll notice random strangers flicking their hands, scratching their heads, adjusting their sleeves. But it's not just random, it happens again and again, often with the same gestures, same motions, by different people. At first you think you're being paranoid, but then it keeps happening, in different places, with different people, and it always seems directed at you. These gestures are a form of street theatre, coordinated non-verbal signals designed to provoke confusion, self-doubt, and hypervigilance. It's meant to make you feel like you're losing your mind, and that's exactly the goal. To gaslight you, to make you question your perception, to force you to fixate on every little movement around you, rather than focusing on yourself and your goals. It's a quiet psychological attack, subtle but extremely disorienting. 2. Color coding and the hijacking of your mind. You start noticing strange patterns in clothing, red t-shirts, red cars, a group of people walking by wearing the exact same shade. It seems like coincidence, until it keeps happening. And it always happens in clusters. 5 red cars in a row. A group of people in red walking past you at once. And now you start to see red everywhere. Here's what's happening. Your reticular activating system, RAS, the part of your brain that filters what's important, has been hijacked. By flooding your environment with a repeated stimulus, a color, object, phrase, your mind learns to track it. That's what the RAS
Is
does.
asking, do you believe in
It
Jesus?
filters the noise and highlights what seems important. Gang stalkers train your mind to
Well,
see
Jesus-
patterns.
The existence of Jesus is a fact. He was an actual person, and there are artifacts that he touched which exist. It's nothing about it's not whether or it isn't about whether or not I believe in Jesus. He did exist.
Patterns they created, and once you're sensitized, they can ease off and let your own brain do the work. Now just a single red car is enough to trigger anxiety, confusion, or trauma. The worst part, to outsiders this makes you look unstable. They don't see the pattern, so they assume it's in your head, which isolates you even further.
Oh, before you leave, can you turn that document into a PDF for me? Thanks.
At 5:30 on a Friday? Actually, wait. I think it'd be easier to use Scribe and show you how to do it.
What?
I just sent you a step.
Sensory overload. Car horns, sirens, motorbikes revving, slamming doors, loud talking, forced coughing. Wherever you go, the noise follows, and there's always someone nearby to trigger it. This tactic is called noise campaigning, and it's a form of psychological torture designed to keep your nervous system in fight or flight. You never feel at ease. You can't think straight, you can't focus, and it begins to weigh you down. You might ask, why the noise?
Look, I'm gonna tell you something about that. The only reason I'm gonna explain to you how that works. there is a phase of gang stalking where they sensitize you to colors. And you're harassed by in some subtle ways and others not so subtle ways. For example, for a week, gang stalkers will put cars of a particular color where they know that you're gonna walk by and look. This is gonna happen for a couple of days. They do not even have to be a lot of cars, but they will be enough for you to notice them. Then gang stalkers themselves will be wearing red, and they will harass you, and they will do something to bring attention of your eyes to the item that is that color. For example, if I want you to look at me, I can just walk by you, move my hand like that, and then just go like that. That will pull your eyes towards my red shirt or my black shirt. So people wearing red will harass you. There will be a point where the color red is in your mind and you experience harassment from people that are wearing red or something red. So your mind will start making connections between the color red and an expectation of some type of suffering of a bad experience. Hang on. I didn't put water. Okay. With time, you build a form of PTSD from the color red, and you look at the red, and your mind starts pulling up. I didn't refill my water. Hang on. Sorry, I was freaking dying. Okay, so your mind will start pulling up memories every time you see red. Your mind, you're going to have a little flashback of the most traumatizing experiences that had to do with the color red. Whenever you see someone with the color red, you have a little attack of PTSD, which will be enough to convince you that the person that is wearing red is an enemy. This little PTSD that you are given with the color red is enough to convince you that every person that is wearing red is doing it because of it's part of the gang stalking operation. This conditioning typically happens when you are under a lot of stress. When this is happening, it goes hard and it goes for an extended amount of time. In my case, these sensitations were done. A full was done over an 8-hour shift. When I was sensitized to, let's see, was it batteries? No. Oil, blah, blah, blah. To the number 2, I know it's insane. It's so absurd. It was about a day. There were a lot of things that happened during my gang stalking experience that I have gotten past that part of color conditioning just last month. But I'm glad you explained it because I didn't understand it for a long time. That's how all the gang stalking works. You're going to be under surveillance. These people are simply going to be observing what you do. And if they find something that causes you distress, they're going to find a way to use it against you. For example, there was a time where I was broke. I was totally broke. And I had to dig into my car for some change to have lunch. I went to Walmart to the coin store because it was a lot of change. I guess gang stalkers saw that. The very next day, people literally during my job at O'Reilly Auto Parts began throwing their change at me rudely. That happened only after that moment. That the coins only had meaning to me because it was immediately after I had that bad experience where I felt so broke and so defeated, and I had to use all my change to get to eat some lunch. So it can happen with anything, any type of bad experience that is caused by or that gang stalkers know of. Anything that brings it to your memory, the remembrance of a negative experience, they are going to try to weaponize that against you. The crazy thing is that in reality, not everyone knows why they are using that's my assumption, why they are using a particular word or a particular item. I personally calmed my PTSD down from a lot of these things by simply thinking about that there is no way that everyone knows why I am particularly sensitive to like receipts or whatever. It didn't make logical sense. So just by denying that, I slowly crawled my way out of the sensitations or fears or whatever. I get that. It's terrible when it happens. Yeah, I ignore the colors when it comes to my emotions now. Yeah, it's crazy. This is why it is so important for whenever you are under any situation that something is happening where your stress levels are high, and that the level of stress is being is being orchestrated by these people. That is when you have to be aware of the patterns. There were times where just by understanding what's happening to you, you can avoid desensitization. Gang stalkers, when they tried to sensitize me to series of numbers, I was working at O'Reilly Auto Parts, and I was getting calls asking me to repeat license plate numbers and asking me to repeat VIN numbers, and I was like that 8 freaking hours. And the customers, they literally were bringing me their VIN numbers to their car so I can type them in the computer. A lot of them were trying to make me bad experiences with that by dictating their license plate numbers to me and dictate it wrong so that I would have to ask for them to repeat it, and then they would repeat it right or wrong again, and that would put me would make me feel stressed, make me get upset, and get my mind tired. This was so obvious to what they were doing because I had been getting gang stuff for so long and they had done so many solicitations that when it came to the moment where they wanted to test it out, it's obvious when someone is trying to test if a solicitation worked. These people, it was 3 of them, and they gave me a VIN number to read. They were paying so much attention to me when I was reading it, and whenever I did that like nothing and had absolutely zero reaction, it was 3 of them. They looked at themselves. They looked between themselves with a face of disappointment. With experience, you get really good at deducing what these people are trying to do because there are only so many ways to manipulate a person. So if you pay close attention, most of the time, you will be able to tell what they are trying to do merely by observing what is the pattern that is consistent.
Because a confused, unfocused, exhausted mind is easier to control. You stop thinking about your purpose. You stop being productive. You become reactive, scattered, and overstimulated. That's the goal. To strip your peace and take your power. Four, social synchronization and public mimicry. You enter a room.
The patterns, by the way, they come in many forms. And it could be a pattern of anything. For example, at the heart of my gang stalking operation is giving me blue balls. I know it sounds childish and impossible, but hear me out. What gang stalkers do in my harassment is that they actively try to make me get aroused. And this is the pattern, the only pattern that has been consistent from day one of my gang stalking operation, where I get barrages of messages and questions and pictures from many people, not with the intention of getting to know me, but with the intention of arousing me, so that I would want to go out and play with someone. The actual going out to play time, that is when I am more vulnerable. Why? You have to take your clothes off, when you can leave your phone there, and you are more exposed, I guess. And this is the time where they can touch you. So these times were when when gang stalkers would actively pretend to be interested in meeting me, only to arouse me further, and make sure that, and do everything possible so that I do not get satisfaction or pleasure to keep me looking after them. And during these times was when a lot of my things were stolen, when I was touched in weird manners, that later on I found out that is how I was made to feel directed energy weapons or weird body sensations. This pattern has been the most consistent pattern throughout my entire operation. And the moment that I understood that a lot of people were actively trying to get a hold of me only to arouse me so that I would go and make myself vulnerable, when that happened, I was finally be able to get out of the loop. If you are targeted, you want to be observant of what is it that is causing you to make a choice. Particularly, be aware of any choice you make or anything that you feel because of something that someone said to humiliate you. When, honestly, I guess so. But these encounters are what for many years kept me abusing my own body and putting myself in situations that would cause me harm. When in my gang stalking, a lot of the things that happened to me happened through these encounters. And even though my intuition the entire time was telling me there's something off here, there's something off, I ignored my intuition because these people had kept arousing me for so long, for days, that I got to a point where I couldn't stop trying to meet someone. Never in my entire existence would I ever imagine that someone could be, that someone's sex drive could be used to destroy them. The unbelievability and the illogical aspect of someone pretending to want to meet you only to get you aroused and to not do anything with you is hard to believe and hard to accept. Even when people are obviously doing things that are producing you that result. So if you happen to be taking any action that results in a type of behavior that is making you vulnerable or putting you in a position where you are where bad things happen to you, be careful. Especially, simply be careful with people in general if you are targeted, because the little nudges to get you to do something are going to be subtle, and at times they're going to be obvious. However, these are impossible to identify if you do not know that you are getting gang stalked. You are simply going to feel like they're just people inviting you to do something or giving you a suggestion. However, as long as you don't know about gang stalking, you either allow yourself to be steered, because there is, because the possibility that someone is trying to make you to do something is so unbelievable that it can go on for years. It can go on for years, and you won't know until you have been gone through the same experiences so many times until you believe it. So, do victims get framed? I am super scared. Framed? Yes. Do you want me to tell you the time where gang stalkers tried to frame me as a child molester? I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. They literally tried to frame me as a child molester. So, actually, Sherry is saying, I practically stay away from most people now. I did get a dog today. Oh, I'm so glad for you, though. And someone is going to take a walk with me and our dogs tomorrow. If he misbehaves, I will ditch. Good. So I'm happy for you. That's amazing. You know, a pet can be incredibly helpful and therapeutic during those times. So Sid is the kink. Victims do get framed. Let me tell you this experience. They tried to frame me as yeah, for real. Let me tell you my experience. Look, I am a fitness professional, and I have been a fitness professional for 10 years. For a while of about 2 years ago, a woman came to me at the gym and she asked me if I could train her son. I was like, sure, okay, not a problem. We went and we got introduced. Everything was fine. The child was stubborn as hell. However, he began to behave in really strange ways. The first one was when he was on the leg extension machine. I had my hand on the machine, and he went and placed his hand on top of mine. I freaked out. I pulled my hand away. Then I looked around, and people around me were paying attention to what was happening, and they were expressing disappointment the moment I pulled my hand away from the kid's hand. They were not happy that I pulled my hand away from a kid trying to hold my hand. That was the first time. In another instance, the child, he was like, I don't know, 15 or whatever. He began grabbing his junk in a trashy manner while glaring at me consistently. And I told him, I had a talk with him. I told him, you know, what you are doing about grabbing your junk is trashy and ghetto. You need to stop doing that because you look like trash when you do that. Only low-class people do that. Don't. He lessened the frequency of his junk grabbing. But he began doing other things. One time I handed him a kettlebell. He handed it to me. I grabbed it, and he let it go, and it pulled down my hand. And the moment that my hand was down, he pushed his junk onto me and smiled at me. I freaked out, and after that moment, I made sure to be like 5 feet away from him at all times. After that, I actually saw him grab my phone, and he broke my screen. He actually broke this phone. He broke the screen protector. Thankfully, nothing happened to my phone. And one day, that was happening. I was training him. And even though I had already taught him how to bench press properly, he was putting himself in danger. But he was swaying the bar too much, and he had done this 1,000 times properly. He was actively trying to create more stress that time. The kid was grabbing his junk, doing all that crazy thing with the kettlebell and the phone. In addition to the people around me doing the gang stalking little hand signals. My reaction was simply to stay as far away from him as possible. I left that day upset because I felt embarrassment, primarily of the way that he made me appear incompetent as a fitness professional, because he was trying to create stress. He was trying to make me feel stressed. So he didn't care to appear incompetent when bench pressing. I care about that because that will make me appear like I didn't know my job. All that in one day, yeah. And except the first part, except the part of the machine, the thing of the machine that happened the very first time I met him. When I told him, before I left, I told him, thank you for everything. Mad, he smiled, and people around were laughing. It was almost like a show. There were people actually just sitting there and watching. It was insane. The moment that same day I left and I got into my car, and all the way home I was being harassed, or at least I felt like I was being harassed with headlights. I'm not sure, because at that point I was under that stress, I guess. But the stress causes you to perceive the things that you have been sensitized to as harassment, even when they're not. Which is the craziest experience ever. It was street theater, yeah, absolutely.
Suddenly, someone on their phone says something you just Googled. You sit down, and the person next to you mimics your body language.
Gang stalkers typically don't say something you have just Googled. They're not going to say that. They don't have that ability. If it happens, it's going to be like not very many. And however, what they can do is that they can guess. In my experience with gang stalking, gang stalkers tried 1, 2, or 3 times to, well, they tried twice. I believe this is what it was, however, I'm not sure. I was walking into a store at Golden Acre Casino. I was exiting, and a person that was walking by me said the exact amount of dollars that I had in my bank account. There was another time where something like that happened, but the number was way off. There was no conversation between the two people that were walking by me. There was absolutely no conversation. All they did was blurt out a number. It could have been coincidence. However, that happened during gang stalking, and it was the amount of money that I had in my bank account. And another time, the same thing had something very similar, but the amount of money was wrong. I'm so afraid of going to prison. Why? Just
You
don't
look
do
up
anything dumb.
and notice another stranger doing the exact same. This is synthetic synchronicity, a tactic designed to make you feel watched, studied, and mocked. People echo your phrases, mirror your actions, or start private conversations about things only you should know. It's not a coincidence. It's a psychological ambush meant to destroy your sense of privacy and individuality. This level of gang stalking attacks your identity. It makes you feel like you've become a spectacle. Your reactions are being recorded. Your life has become a script that others are reading. And yet you can't call it out because it's all deniable. Five, coordinated surveillance and spatial control. You leave your house, and the moment you step outside, a car pulls up, someone walks in front of you. You turn down a street, there's another one. You stop at a store, someone's already there, waiting, and it keeps happening over and over again. This is where gang stalking turns into active surveillance and crowd control. Not just gestures, not just noise, but people physically blocking, delaying, or infiltrating your path in real time. This kind of targeting is often technologically coordinated, using location tracking, facial recognition, predictive AI, or just community-based networks. The point is, it's calculated.
Monday
What do you mean,
CRM
sir?
has the best AI features in
So if it's a self setup, what do you mean? These commercials are unbearable. Like, are you serious? There is no way. That was like a whole minute. Let's see. They go to my work, they follow me everywhere, they even try to drive me off the road. They try to get you so paranoid that I, victim, would do stupid chisel. Cheryl, honestly, it's just dog walking. I wouldn't recommend you canceling, avoiding that. However, stay aware and believe the actions of the people. Believe the results of the actions of the people and not what the people say. For example, if he is telling you that he's your friend or something along those lines, however, his actions are causing you problems or are somehow steering you into making a decision that ends up harming you in any way, shape, or form, or makes you feel less, or insinuates anything negative about you, then yeah, people typically express how they feel about a person by the results of their actions. As long as you stay aware and you are skeptical of anyone pretty much, you're going to be fine. And you have to value yourself enough to tell someone whose actions have impacted you negatively. You have to believe yourself, your experience with that person enough to allow you to tell that person to not speak to you. You have to value yourself enough to tell someone to not speak to you. And they tried to get you so paranoid that I, the victim, would do stupid shizzle. How long does gang stalking last? I assume that they do try to get you paranoid, which is exactly why you have to be incredibly aware of, you have to be incredibly skeptical of the reasons, of the intentions, of the behavior of the people around you. There are people that can get close to you only to create paranoia in you, only to make you feel like they're going to do something to you, whatever it is, anything that could possibly confuse you, hurt you, or make you paranoid. Those, be careful when that's happening. If all of a sudden you feel paranoid, you want to make sure, or you want to find out the root of it. If it's someone, understand that in gang stalking, anyone that is a gang stalker is going to try to impact your life negatively. Be it making you paranoid, stealing, moving your stuff, lying to you, or steering you into taking a decision that will F you in the A. Regardless of how much you want that person to be normal, and regardless of how unbelievable what they are doing is, immediately after you feel the negative impact of their actions, you have to make sure that that person isn't able to get close to you or speak to you anymore. Any person who has expressed any type of gang stalking behavior, they are only going to speak to you to demoralize you, or to manipulate you. Or they will, there are people that will get close to you only so that you allow them to influence you. So whenever you take any decision, you want to make sure that the decision came from you, and you want to make sure that it works in your best interest. If you're taking a decision that has impacted you negatively many times, and you somehow keep making that decision, pay attention to why. Look, I'm not stupid, but I have made decisions that a stupid person would make. A lot of these decisions, or a lot of gang stalking, can make a smart person make stupid choices. And what's worse, it is powerful enough to keep the same person keep making the same decisions that are hurting that person. So they themselves do not try to put you in prison. They will try if you are doing anything illegal and they find out. They're going to try anything that they can trouble you with. Be it a speeding ticket. Be it, be it spreading some rumors, something that you, if you are somehow susceptible to stealing, for example, they can make it easy for you to steal something, only to make sure to record you and to give the recording to the authorities so that they can put you in prison. Gang stalkers literally put money on the floor in many places, at work and at a client's house. And I do not steal, so I never got in trouble for that, that never got me into trouble. I'm telling you this because at work, even when my boss wanted me to nosedive into my destruction, she knew that I didn't steal. She told me to my face. She was like, I know you don't steal. And she never had trouble leaving money around where I was, even when she knew that there was a high possibility of me doing something to her or to her money that could get her in trouble. She let her money around me without supervision. But I simply don't steal. I'm just not a thief. That's one of the things that gang stalking tries to put you in trouble for. They do little setups like that. They will leave money there, or they will make something easy to steal. They will have a kid grab your hand to see if you reciprocate. They will do things like that. If you are targeted, don't do anything stupid. Have your paperwork all in order. And most importantly, stay clear of most people. Only stay close with people that have your best interest in mind. Is it lifetime harassment? Well, I don't have the definite answer, and once I get it, I'm gonna be dead. So there's no way for me to tell you that. However, the best way to that I'm dealing with that is simply accepting the idea that I'm going to be harassed for the rest of my life, and I just have to, that is just something that I have to learn to deal with. And yeah, if I accept that, when there is, I don't know, when 30 years after gang stalking have happened, I am not going to be surprised. I simply just live with the assumption that gang stalking is forever. 8 long is already long enough. 8 years, I mean. A lifetime of gang stalking doesn't appear like any possibility. So, whatever. I just have to work with what I know and somehow make enough money to go somewhere far where I don't have to deal with this. In gang stalking, if you move to another country, you're gonna be fine, or to another state. Honestly, it doesn't faze me, the whole thing. Find a hobby. Hey, I already have a hobby. Anyways, so guys, I am going to sleep. I'm exhausted. I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight. It has been a pleasure. Nikola Tesla, thank you so much for your suggestion. Your life must be really boring. Nikola, I'm actually not bored at all. It's fine. I'm working. So everyone, please have a blessed evening. And I really hope that you guys have sweet dreams. And I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with me. Thank you so much. I enjoyed hanging out with you. So thank you. Bye, Nico.